Why do the Buddhists say that life is suffering?
Alrighty then. Huh. Now, I really can't say what Buddha had in mind or if Buddha even said that. Okay? Maybe he did. I don't know. I wasn't there. See, but it does come out in sort of Buddhist teachings that Buddha said life is suffering and then there is a cause and blah, blah, blah. All right. Okay, good. And you know what he did say, and I'll get to your question in a second here, but he did, and if you listen, what he's saying, the cause is thirst, the cause is desire, like that. He's saying the cause is your mind. So I'd like to plug my new book, which says the basic same thing, except it goes into much more detail and is far, far more grounded than this kind of abstract notion. Perhaps Buddha went in, was very grounded. Maybe he went into a lot of explanation, but his followers, they can't follow all that. So they just boil it down to, a sound bite. In any case, now, is life suffering? Life. See, now let's make a distinction here, what we're talking about. Are we talking about life, like the distinction that we make called life, having a life, living things, life? Or are we talking about your life, my life, self, being a self and living? See? Those are two different things. So first, if life, not your self-life, but life is suffering, now that's a different question, right? That's something we have to delve into. So let's set that to the side for a moment and perhaps revisit it once we've done the other work. But let's set that aside. And for now, we'll say there's no reason to say life is suffering. Okay? Life is life, right? And then we'll revisit that. Okay? Because, maybe I'm wrong. Right? So let's just say that for the moment. Okay, now let's talk about you, self. See, so we're talking about life, and I, again, don't know what Buddha was referring to necessarily, but for you have an experience of life, yes? Of course. And this is all, your life, my life, and it has so much meaning to it, and this and that and the other thing. Okay, so now first off, right off, probably people think, life is suffering, and they think about all the woes and upsets and traumas and stuff like that they go through in their life. And they go, yeah, see, there's so much suffering involved. And then there's bad things happen and whatever, and wars happen and blah, blah, but mostly, me, okay, I'm not having a happy time. And so life is suffering, you see, and I might be suffering, I might be in pain, it might be whatever. And so they go down that road. Okay, now, is that true? Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, there's a lot of suffering. A lot of it's unnecessary, which again brings me back to my new book, Ending Unnecessary Suffering, because I don't think I mentioned that. I talked about it, but I don't think I mentioned it. As it's coming out soon, in about a month. Well, I don't know whenever this is on, but it's coming out March, beginning of March. So yeah, maybe it's already out. So buy it. In any case, huge domain, all right, of unnecessary suffering. But let's go further than that. Now, for most people, they don't have to go further than that, right? See, for most people, if you could just get rid of all the drama and trauma, all the all the mental pain and anguish, all the worry and fear, all the anger and upset, all that shit, all the sound and fury that signifies nothing. Okay, you'd probably be a lot happier person, Well, okay, you would be. There's no question about it. You'd be a lot happier person. And I'm not saying, you would be like tickled and always enjoy. Maybe you would, right? But you should remember, positive and negative work together. Okay, you'd just be a freer person. And free of all that stuff makes you, by default, what we might call a happier person, okay? Because you're just being a person. In any case, so there's all that, but I don't think I again don't know, but I don't think Buddha was talking about that. Maybe he was, or maybe he's including that. You know, he's talking to all his people and saying, "My God, you're really fucked up. Look at what you're doing in your minds. I mean, goddamn, lighten the fuck up, all right? You know, get over this stuff. Stop doing that." See, and they probably didn't, you know. He probably watched them. Now, here's interesting thought, right? He probably watched them and saw they weren't doing it, you know. They were trying to be pious, and they were trying to follow his advice, but they're still doing this bullshit in their mind. So what did he do? Yeah, he started creating stuff for them to do. Think right, live right, you know, be this way, be that way. Say, do these things, okay? Because you're obviously too stupid to stop doing all the crap you do. But if you do these things I'm recommending, it'll automatically stop, you know, at least push you in the direction of stop doing the crap you do, you see? Because you can't live, you know, have a proper living, which he says, you know, right living, right thinking, right, I don't know, feeling, eating, whatever, I don't care. I don't know. Okay, I didn't, you know, study a lot of Buddhist stuff. But in any case, you know, I had these things for you to do, see, for people to do, so that, you know, okay, do that, you know. It's a little like, and I don't mean to be offensive here, but when I work with somebody who's mentally unstable, okay, you know, or having, you know, challenges with their mental stuff like that, you know, and I don't mean just like in the normal course of events, but I'm, you know, like a lot of people, they may be a little neurotic, or they get, you know, they have something they're tilting on, some stability in their mental issue, you know, I recommend for them to do something physical. Okay? Do something physical. Doesn't really matter what it is, you know, go in the garden and start gardening. You know, plant some flowers, you know, weave a basket, whatever it is, do Tai Chi, you know, whatever, jog, something, see? And why? It gets them out of their stupid mind. You understand? It's a no-brainer. When you start doing something physical and you start focusing on this physical aspect, in that physical aspect is there nowhere your mind, particularly. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking about your mind like doing all this crap. You know, this like what, a depressive, freaky, illusionary, you know, whatever, all this stuff that you do, you know, mental, emotional crap, right? See, because it's just a physical thing, okay? And so when you start focusing on that, hey, it takes that other stuff, it calms that stuff down. Okay? I mean, unless you bring it up while you're gardening or jogging or whatever you're doing, you know? See? But if you really focus on the physical, then sometimes I would just give them, you know, I put an object in front of them and say, concentrate on the object. Okay? Just concentrate on the object. That's all. See? And their mind clears up. See? By concentrating on the object. Why? Again, because it's a shift to objective existence, not this mental crap that most people involve themselves with. Okay, so now there's that. But I'm thinking that Buddha wasn't talking about that. So let me tell you what I'm thinking about that, about what he's talking about. In order to ground it, let's consider for the moment that your experience of being as a self is very fundamentally, you know, at its core, isolated and alone and separate. See? Yes, you can follow that, right? So you're existentially alone. Now, because you exist, you are separate from every other being that exists. That's just true, because that's the distinction you make. And because you exist, you are separate and therefore isolated, see, and alone. Now, if there was not such a thing as others and connection and communication and union and all this kind of stuff, if that didn't exist, you know, for you, then obviously you would not have these ideas of being separate and alone and isolated. But you do. Why? I'll tell you why. But you're following me here? Say, this sense of isolation. Now, what's also true is that because of the social context in which we live, and I do not mean that as like just society. For me, society, what comes to mind when you think of society is way down the line than what I'm talking about when I talk about a social context. You see, society is just an invention that we've done and that we're caught up in. Okay, very important, right? But the very fact that you are a self amongst selves, that you exist in the world of self and other, etc., creates a social context, you see? See, the very fact that there are sentient beings in your world, say, what we might call, conscious entities exist, see? And you just take that for granted, right? So you don't even know how that came to pass, but we could go into that at some point. In any case, you see, the very fact that these exist creates a world for you that you live as and in. You follow this? You don't really have a choice about that. Okay? If you're going to be this self and this sentient entity, you need to live in a world of sentient entities and selves. All right, so a little bit longer story I'm not going to go into right now, but because this has occurred, see, because you are this self that you worship and love dearly, which you might want to lighten up on. In any case, you can love yourself, but stop worshiping it. All right. In any case, all right, one step at a time. Because you are this, inner self, right? You think of yourself as residing inside your body as this self inside. That's, kind of constructed of something like awareness and perceptive capacity and what you think of as consciousness, but you're wrong in the way you think of it. In any case, because you're in this inner separate self, you will feel isolated and separate. Why? Because you are. It's a fact, Jack. The moment you make that distinction, do you see what I'm saying? It's like if we have, say we have 5 buckets in the room, okay? And in each bucket we put a self, okay? And the way that you get to be a self is to be in a bucket, see? And the moment you be in a bucket, you're a self. You get to be a self in a bucket. But you can see that the moment that occurs, you're now separate from every other bucket and every other self. The self here is the sentient part of the bucket. Sorry if the analogy is kind of weird, but I'm just trying to give you a grounded way to think of this, you see? So you have no choice to be, I'm in this bucket all by myself, see? Because nobody else can join you there, can they? Nobody visits your bucket. Now, when it comes to buckets, maybe another self could jump in there, okay? I don't know, in buckets, but not for you. Nobody else can join you in your mind. They can't join you in this inner self place, this private world where you live and exist as this self. And you don't even really know what the self is. That's why we're talking here. Okay? But in any case, you see what I'm saying? Do you see how that creates this apparent malady of being separate? Nobody can join you there. You might want them to. And then you try to communicate, and you gaze into their eyes, especially a lover, right? And you gaze in their eyes, and you communicate, and you try to make a connection, and hopefully you do, and you feel good like that, and then it breaks down. But it doesn't change anything, does it? You're still isolated, desperately trying to make a connection with something else that's isolated. And you can kind of like take solace in being isolated together. It's like, oh, hey, I'm here, you're there, okay, good, hanging out, and then how many you've done that, I'm sure. Well, I'm not sure, but I suspect you've done that, right? And it never lasts, does it? It always breaks down at some point. And probably a lot of those people that you were trying that with, you're no longer with. Yeah, so how'd that work out for you, huh? Okay, now there's a reason. There's a reason for this. Hang on. That, I want you to notice, you see, I'm trying to go full circle here. I want you to notice that this being isolated and separate and alone is seen as bad. It's seen as a malady, and it's only seen as a malady because of a social context. See, because of the possibility of others, etc. See, if that wasn't the case, it would just be seen as is. You understand? It would just be what is. It would not be a malady. All right, let me say it another way, because Brendan is signaling that he doesn't quite get this. All right, so if you weren't separate, yeah, then you wouldn't have this malady, would you? See? You wouldn't be isolated. See? You wouldn't be alone. All right. And then you'd be happy ever after, right? But that ain't going to happen as long as you're you. But, no, I can make it happen. No, you can't. All right. Let me go another route. Let me ask you, have you made it happen so far? No. Right. But I'm just unable. I haven't found the right person or the right community or the right group or the right whatever, but I'm still trying. Or, I've given up and I'm just, now a drunk in the street. Okay. Now, neither of those is going to resolve the malady. With enough alcohol, maybe you can forget. Pass out for a while, take a break. But you see, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the condition because the condition is being created by you. And let me say it differently. The condition is created as you. The very fact that you are a you, the way you've created being a you, and the way we've all created being a you, a self, creates this condition. And the whole thing of it being a malady is created by creating this condition. You follow? If you didn't create a social reality of sentient self and other and communication and all that stuff, it wouldn't be a malady. You're just going to have to contemplate that, all right? It's perfectly obvious. So let me go down another road. See if this makes a little more sense. Okay. You might have heard me talk in different areas of what I call the Lucifer myth. Okay? And if you recall the Lucifer myth, the myth of Lucifer was an angel, a fallen angel. Yeah? And it became the devil, Beelzebub, all that shit, right? See, but so Lucifer was the angel, and he decided in the myth, and if I get it wrong, it doesn't matter because the point is made. See, in the myth, he said, I'd rather rule in hell than serve in heaven. So he left God, whatever that is, right? Left God, and he ruled in hell. See? So he's like, okay, so what is this? What is this Lucifer? Now we think of it stupidly like, the devil and some other thing, God and the devil, and it has nothing to do with you. Okay, let me propose that we rethink that, okay? Let me propose that it has everything to do with you. As a matter of fact, it is you, okay? Lucifer is you in this myth, okay? It's about you becoming you. And so, ergo, ruling in hell. Wait a minute. I don't rule in hell. I have a pretty good life. All right. Hang on there. I got more. But do you get the idea? See, so that the very separation from the absolute, the very separation from the truth, the very separation from, in this case, in this myth, God, you see, or whatever, right, creates this hell. See, it creates this separate, isolated, alone entity. And what is this in your own little private inner world? What does this separate, alone, isolated entity get to do? Well, in that world, you get to rule, don't you? See, you get the rule. You can think what you want, you can feel what you want, you can react, you can justify, you can have opinions and beliefs, you can think of yourself as sacred, you can do all kinds of shit, right? In there. You can lie, you can deceive, you can manipulate, you can fool yourself, you can do all this stuff. You can do whatever you want in there. You can have good thoughts, bad thoughts, and nobody can stop you because it's your private inner world. And remember, nobody can join you in there. Huh? And if they can't join you in there, they can't do anything about it, can they? Because they don't even know what's going on in there. Only you know. Are you following this? Only you know what's going on in there. And so you rule. Okay, good. You can do all that, but you can't get connected. See? Not without serving. See, not without giving up yourself. You see what I'm saying? You'd have to give up that. So this self-rule is also a prison. You know? It doesn't, think of it that way because it's your fiefdom, right? But it's also your prison. See? And so you have to suffer this whole business of being isolated and alone and separate. See? That's part of being Lucifer. That's part of being the devil. That's part of being you. All right? So, now let's push a little bit further in this direction, to talk about the Buddha thing. I want you to imagine, okay, let's go back to the Lucifer myth for a moment. So, what happens when, let's say, the self, Lucifer, in this case, in this myth, right? What happens when the self stops being a self and then serves God? Because remember the statement was, I'd rather rule in hell than serve in heaven. So stop ruling in hell and serve in heaven. Okay, now, and try to throw out all the religious crap about that. Okay, that's not going to help. All right. So in other words, you stop being a self and you are absolute. You give up being separate and isolated and alone. You see? And you are absolute. You are one with everything. You are connected, etc. You see, you follow that idea? I mean, just an idea right now. That's all. Okay. I'm not asking you to actually, do it. Heaven forfend. Okay. But in any case, do you see that that would be really, really, really different, wouldn't it? See, basically no self. Self would not be an issue. So you, whatever that is, would be the same as God. Same as the absolute, same as the truth, same as reality, whatever. However you want to look at it. Same as existence, you see? See? No separation, no isolation. See? So there's no need to connect because you're not separate. You only need connect because you're separate, right? Okay, so just imagine that. Just imagine. I'm laying some foundation here. So imagine that possibility. Now, imagine that commensurate with that possibility, is there's absolutely no worries, no angst, no upset. There's total freedom, right? There's no sense of isolation or aloneness or separateness, obviously, right? See, you are completely free. See, there is no boundary on you. There's no inner world that you're imprisoned in. You're completely free and open. I'm trying to paint a picture here so you can follow this with this guided meditation. See? Right? So you're completely free and open. Yeah. Completely happy, say. Yeah. Let's just put it that way. Etc. Now here's the part. Here's the part. So you are that. Okay? One with the universe, whatever, okay? Total consciousness, whatever, right? So you got something there? And just make something up, consistent with that, as best you can, Now, consider now, from there, becoming a self. Ah! No? You have the same experience as I? Okay. See, consider that the whole contraction and separation into this self, especially this inner self in a private inner prison. See, that contraction itself is suffering. You follow? It's not hard to follow if you did the little guided meditation here. Okay? Just contrast it, just whatever, as best you can, this open freedom, connection, and now this self-contraction into this separate, selfish, inner person. That act itself is suffering. Not just the pains and woes and drama that you're going to go through because of it. The consequences, yes, because of it, and having to survive in life and all that. Okay, good. Yes, that will unfold, along with the joy and happiness and pleasures that you will also experience, hopefully. You see? But it's just the act. So no matter what you experience, you see, just that act of being a self is suffering. And this is what I'm thinking maybe Buddha was referring to. Okay? That we call life, or my life, or having a life, or whatever you call it. The act itself is a form of suffering. Yeah? You can follow that. At least you can consider it. Contemplate it. You see? And then, again, the result of that act. So even though you're... sometimes, you experience good things, right? I hope. Sometimes you experience pleasure or, joy or whatever, feeling good, love, yeah, see? And when you experience those things, does this condition go away? No, not at all. It doesn't go away at all. See, but what does happen is you're completely distracted from it, you see? And that's the best you can do, isn't it? Really, and I'm saying, that's not bad. Go ahead and do it. But, I'm just saying, that's the best you can do here, you see? But it doesn't change the condition, you see? Because you're not going to give up yourself. You see? You hang on to that like dear life, okay? For dear life. It's like, you ain't going to give that up, see? And you don't grasp that it's the cause of your suffering, you see? And when you're feeling joy or love or something, you don't notice that, because your mind is at the effect of the joy and the love, and you're completely distracted, and so you feel good. You see, you feel good. Like, oh, thank you, thank God, this is the way it should be, right? See, but what I'm proposing, and I'm sorry if I keep coming off as a pain in the ass, okay? But you see, you think that's what it should, but it doesn't change your condition. The condition's still the same. It's just the condition is overridden by the times when you feel joy and love or whatever, you see? And that feels good. And then what happens? You know what happens. You stop feeling joy and love. See? That always happens, doesn't it? Come on. Don't lie to me. If you found the way to have permanent joy and love, you're not listening to this podcast, probably. or whatever, 'cause you're like every other human being on the planet, And I've never met a human being that has constant joy and love. If there is one out there, please contact me. I'd love to really, find out what's going on with that. But in any case, you see the difference. See, now, maybe, oh boy, this is going to come off. There's always dangers, It's like somebody sent me this dialogue between people talking about Ralston. And one person was talking about... But, love is everything. Love is the most important thing. Love is the universal truth about reality. Well, no, it's not. Because if it was the universal truth about reality, why do you call it love? Why do you have to have a state that you call love? You say, well, it's not a state, it transcends state, because I'm trying to help. Their argument here, okay? And say, well, no, it doesn't. See? Because if it does, you don't even have this as a concept. You don't have this as a relation of love. See? Now, okay. All right. Is universal love and unself-love or whatever, is that, fantastic? Sure, of course. Yeah, of course. Is that something you might want to aspire to? Sure. Yeah, great. Great. But anyway, back to the conversation. So they're having this conversation that says, well, Ralston basically doesn't talk about love, And then the one person said, well, what about a love so, I don't remember, so profound, so deep, it doesn't talk about itself. See? It doesn't even mention its own name, so to speak. Okay. Now we're moving in a more viable direction, with this conversation, you see. And then another person commented that, well, maybe Ralston doesn't talk about love because of the dangers involved. You see, the moment you start talking about love, he talks about truth and honest, truth, justice, the American way. No, that's Superman. You're confusing me. Superman. No, he talks about, truth and consciousness and stuff like that. You see, and it seems to be kind of the same thing that, we might be talking about as love. You say, okay, but the moment you start talking about as love, right, people go down a certain road with that, right? Their minds think certain things, and that degrades the whole effort. You see? And yes, this is true. It does degrade the effort. Okay, so now I forgot why I'm talking about this. Why am I talking about this? But I was going to mention something, and I did this little conversation with the love and stuff. You feel joy and happiness and
So let me
love
talk to
and
somebody
condition.
who's always in joy, and then there's dangers of,
Right.
I don't remember why.
Yeah. So we do, in any case, consider the possibility that we keep this this ideal of a permanent joy and love is a possibility, but it's a myth. There is no such thing. And right, I remember now why. See, there is no such thing. And as you keep struggling with this, you say, again, you notice that you have joy, then you don't. And then maybe you're depressed or upset or in pain or whatever. See, and then you have love, and then you don't. And then you have hurt feelings, or, et cetera. And you keep, this dance. Okay. There's a reason for that, but that's another podcast. In any case, consider there's a possibility, and that's why I was saying this is a danger. See, now I'm going to go down this road that people are going to jump on in a moment, and I prefer you just hold it open. Hold it open. Don't jump on this. Don't make a religion out of it, okay? See, but consider the possibility that there is something like a joy, maybe a love if you like, see, but a joy and or happiness or freedom that is not about you, that transcends you. See? You say, yeah, but why would I care? Transcend me. Okay, just hang in there, and just consider the possibility you don't know what you really are anyway. And then if you know what you really are, you're still too limited, to entertain what I'm talking about here. All right? No, not a put down. I'm just saying, hey, this is how it goes, right? We're still ignorant, okay? There's too much ignorance involved in this. See, but in any case, see, so that, I guess what I'm saying is don't give up. Be of good cheer. You have this possibility. So this possibility, let's entertain for a moment, because again, I'm just making this up because we don't know, none of us know what's true about Buddha, okay? But we can imagine from all the myths and stories that he was okay, right? He wasn't suffering. See? So he represented this possibility of a freedom, or what's called complete enlightenment, or whatever, you see, where there is no suffering. And there is no suffering because there is no self, okay? And there is no reality that we call reality, that we perceive and experience as realities. There's no life. So he's not suffering. You follow that possibility? That's the kind of possibility that, again, if that were true, that's the kind of possibility I'm talking about as this, freedom and consciousness that is beyond yourself, is beyond that which inherently you could say has happiness as its core, or some such thing like that. Yeah, at least freedom. Yeah. So, in any case, that's what I'm considering that Buddha was saying to people. Now, let's go back to the thing I put on the side there about life. Is life suffering? Maybe. And why? Well, because life is all about survival. You don't live unless you survive. Nothing lives unless it survives. Right? The plant doesn't live unless it survives. In other words, it persists. It has to take action in the universe, not the universe, but in the reality here that we share, you see, to persist. And so there's always a struggle with that. Okay? It's successful, it's not successful, and as that drama acts itself out, no matter what the life is, whether it's a bacteria, a plant, an animal, whatever, see, a human, see, as that dance acts itself out, there's always struggle, because there's always failure possible, and not only possible, inevitable. See, because as that dance occurs, it will die. All life dies. The only reason life persists is because of something beyond any individual attempt. See, any individual bacteria, obviously, see, or plant, or animal, say, is the breeding and the propagation and stuff like that for something else to occur, another one, and so life persists, right? See, but the dance continues, and in every case of life, whatever that, let's just call it experience is, even if it's like bacteria or a virus or whatever, see, whatever that is, it fails and stops persisting. Okay? And then becomes one with the universe again. In any case, you see, that whole struggle itself, because of the demand of survival, you see, that could be called a form of suffering, you see. Right? See, so that even there, see, and then of course we're not really concerned with that. We're concerned with our life and ourselves. But see, it's like, oh yeah, there is that inevitable struggle to survive. Yeah, however you want to call that, you could call it a form of suffering if you like. In any case, it is what it is. And then transcending life itself, transcending self, ends suffering. Okay, transcending life ends suffering. Letting go of self and life. All suffering is created by you, created by self. Self-survival. All right, everything you experience is suffering is created by that. All suffering is created by survival. You see, no survival, no suffering. But that just sounds pretty far-fetched, doesn't it? It's like, no. You're supposed to tell me how to create goodness in my life and joy and how to be free and better as myself. And I'm saying, no, yourself is the problem. Right? You think, well, that doesn't sound good. I don't want to be a problem, but you always have been. Take a look. From the very beginning, you've always been the problem. And I don't mean the problem because you're just the consequences of being a self, but you're a problem to solve, right? Take a look as far back as you can think. Haven't you always been trying to solve this problem of you, right? What should you do? Who should you be? How should you be? How do you attain something? How do you get happy? How do you survive? How do you be successful? How do you grow? So that's the problem of you. And maybe you're successful, maybe you're not, but still, there's always this problem as far back as you can remember. Yeah. But you got to save something for another podcast, so I will bring this to a close now. So anything else about this? Yeah.
Practically speaking, if people want to take this, what you've said, to the next level, to actually get it rather than just hear about it, be entertained by what you say, what can they do?
Workshops. See, facilitated workshops really help. They're not the only thing, right? But they are the most important thing. And why do I say that? Because, you can read, you can listen, you can do all these things, you can contemplate at home, but for the most part, you're going to just be spinning your wheels. Okay? Hopefully make some progress, etc., like that. But when you have somebody kicking your ass, when you have a structured environment where you're actually involved in doing something specifically, because all the workshops I design are quite specific and progress through a lot of stuff. See, that makes the biggest difference. Is that enough? No, it's a huge step in the right direction. And then when you go home again, see, and contemplate, you're much more powerful than you would be if you didn't do the work, really. See, and it's amazing to me, interestingly enough, people will write to me and say, oh, I found my calling, this is so wonderful for me, or, oh, this is, whatever, this, that, the other thing, but they don't do anything about it. They don't do the work, okay? And it's like, all righty then, so you're really full of shit, okay? You're just bullshitting yourself and trying to bullshit me and like this little fantasy you got going on. No, if you don't do the work, you're not doing the work, all right? Now, anyway, and then beyond that is even more, all right? Because the workshops are really, really the beginning, okay? And then more workshops make a big difference, but still, that's still the beginning, and there's more work to be done. But anyway, that's what I would say, is get off the couch and do a damn workshop. Put your money where your mouth is, as they say.
And then if for some reason people do not or cannot, they don't want to do workshops, what would you say is like the most powerful thing they could do on their own that would help them the most if they can't make a workshop? Or don't?
Yeah, at this point, I would say nothing, really. Because, again, I've watched people for thousands of years. Wow, I'm really old. Okay, and really, no, it's just kind of like on your own. You just, like I say, it's your mind doing your mind. So yes, you read my books, you listen to podcasts, you watch YouTube, whatever like that. You try to contemplate. Good for you, and that's the best you can do. See, and then read the books again, because you didn't get it the first time. I guarantee. If you do a workshop, then read the book and you'll see, how much you didn't get, and then keep working it. So I guess that's the best you can do, but I don't have a lot of faith in how much progress you're going to make. Really, I don't. Why? Say, well, so you're the only one? No, but close. There's that other guy out there that has the joy and the love and happiness, right? Find them, okay? But in any case, I would say don't pass up on the opportunity. You'd be a fool. See? While you still can, don't pass up the opportunity. I've had people in my life that have influenced me more than any book ever did. You know what I'm saying? And working with them influenced me more than, trying to contemplate on my own. So even just contemplating with other people, like in a contemplation intensive is far more powerful than trying to do it on your own. And you also do it on your own. I mean, these are all part of the same thing. You want to do it all. But I'm just saying the most powerful thing you could do right now is workshops. And then if the workshops go away, then I'm sorry. Find some other route. But I'm afraid for you. I'm afraid that what route are you going to follow? You're going to do some kind of spiritual belief system or something and get caught up in that? Are you going to join a Buddhist community maybe? Okay, good luck. I hope you have good luck with that. And I hope it helps you. But even in the Buddhist community, you're probably going to have an abbot who kicks a little ass, right? You're going to have somebody who gives some feedback and lecture and stuff like that. Is going to be incredibly powerful? Probably not. Probably it's going to be stuck in fantasy. I'm sorry, that's the way that goes, right? Maybe you do some Vipassana or something like that, or some Zen. Okay, cool. That's good. That's good for you. But again, like I said, I've watched thousands of people and doing things like that, and boy, it doesn't go as far as I would like it to go. It doesn't get deep into stuff the way I would like. Okay, but I wish you well on that. I hope you find something. If you don't do my workshops, okay, that's fine. But, do something that kicks your ass, okay? Right? Do something that's one, based on the truth, that's not just in it for the money, okay? That's not trying to fool people or create a fantasy. That's not trying to make you feel good, okay? But again, it's based on the truth. And the whole endeavor is to get you, to help you, to facilitate you in grasping what's true in ways you would not and cannot do by yourself. All right? Find something like that. I don't know what it is, but there's stuff out there, I'm sure, that moves in that direction. At least move in that direction. Okay? And the only thing I can guarantee is that if you come study with me, it always moves in that direction, because that's what I'm committed to. Really, that's really what I'm committed to. Okay, have been for many, many decades or millennia. I don't know, but in any case, all right. That's what I can guarantee. That's all, And if I wish for you that you have this. However, whether it's with me or some other avenue, I hope it works for you in that way. Okay, but it's find something that kicks your ass. Okay. Pushes your comfort zone, right? Because, like I said, you're the problem. and I want to help you, which sounds really weird, okay? But I really want to help you get past you. All right? Okay, so we go. Oh, something else?
Yeah, just parting invitation. If people really don't have the money or the desire to do a workshop, they can always connect on the newsletter. That's free and it's
there you go.
value.
Sure. Yeah. Some apprentices have created weekly meetings and newsletter to help you work and help ground some of your work. And they're doing pretty advanced stuff, really, if you think about it. And so that's also something, and that's free. Okay. So you can participate with that. And of course, yeah, there's my newsletter, sure. But you got to sign up for those things if you haven't, but you probably have, yeah, because you're listening to this podcast. All righty, that should do it.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please consider joining a workshop. They're more powerful than you think.